Ladies and gentlemen, we now proceed towards the next standalone session of the day, titled The Levers Contributing to the Growth of Digital Payments in India. For this session, we have Deeksha Kaushal, Director, Financial Services Partnerships, GPay India. Please join me in welcoming her up on the stage.
Namaskar and a very good afternoon. It's an absolute privilege to be able to join this audience today, full of our partners, our peers, and our mentors from the fintech ecosystem. And for that, a big thank you to Indian Express for giving us this opportunity. We are truly humbled to be here. Delhi is always great to be back to, especially if it's June and the weather is as lovely as it is. It's where I spent my childhood. It evokes very fond memories. It also evokes memories of grit and survival. Back in 2021, April, I remember the date very well, April 19th, I was here with my family, and not only did my family, child, husband, my parents, my sister's family, basically everyone in my blood relations got COVID on the same day. We were in different locations in Delhi, and April was especially a tough time. But amongst many things that helped us cross the bridge that was upon us was one small little thing of being able to use Google Pay to make UPI payments to that very kind driver who tirelessly went and bought medicines for us that weren't easily available and delivered them at the gate when we needed them. I'm sure, many of us might have memories of that time past. And when we look back on what has happened in the last 5 years, India has not only built the foundations for future of commerce by way of digital payments, we've also successfully put it through one of the most dire tests in our living memory, which was the global pandemic. The global pandemic saw us having users, businesses, public sector organizations, governments, moving to digital payments overnight to keep the engines of the economy humming. It has now become sort of par the course for everyone, from a small vendor to places of worship, to accept digital payments. It was a time when we needed the digital financial system to help in terms of keeping millions of jobs saved, to keep the economy running, and the system delivered. As we look back from how we have lived through the global pandemic, there are some patterns and lessons that come through for all of us. The first one, interoperability in letter and in spirit. One of the things that stands out for UPI and the way NPCI and RBI have built the ecosystem is that irrespective of what bank account you have or what type of mobile phone you carry, this system is easily accessible to everyone. So long as you have a bank account, you have a mobile connection, and you have access to the internet. This interoperability is not only there on technology rails, it's also there in the ecosystem. The way NPCI looks at bringing the ecosystem together, be it things like working in terms of policy, getting together quickly in addressing vulnerabilities, addressing bad actors, solving for modus operandi on fraud. It's a place where the ecosystem has truly come together in an interoperable way. The second thing that we've seen in terms of as the pandemic has evolved is that people like, if I were to look at my own family experience, I have a teenager who basically started doing mobile from being a parent who didn't want to give her a mobile. I gave her one because that was the only way to do school projects and stay in touch with her friends on WhatsApp. I also have aged parents who now have to use mobile because over the pandemic, as they were staying alone, they had to find ways to make bill payments in a social distanced world. There's a lot of such Indians who got added. The number is 200 million approximately. And we estimate about 30% of internet users in the country today to be what are called digital novices. People who've got added onto the online world as part of the pandemic and what transpired. Therefore, when we look at the second lesson in the pattern, it's that fintech products today need to be built for scale and need to be built for very different cohorts of users, from the most savvy to the least. This could include things like what would app experiences be like for users who are just getting on to payments as an infrastructure layer. It could also include having different languages, like we're available in multiple languages, English as an option. It also includes what we need to do on a continuous basis for education, awareness, as these digital novices are likely to continue to transact and interact on the internet. While credible efforts have got made in this regard, we believe that there's a long distance still to cover. This includes things like smart tech. It includes continued education awareness drives. It also includes how we reach out through voice or through audio in terms of being able to transact. And I'm sure a lot more innovations on this space would find their way. What we also see in terms of emerging as a key theme in terms of solving for digital novices and for these new set of cohorts is that there has been partnership between entities such as the government, there's the Har Payment Digital Campaign of the RBI, there are private players like us who have campaigns in terms of safety, and that partnership has been really helpful. Which brings to my next theme, which is how do we partner together and the lessons we've learned on that. From day one for Google Pay, and as we see the future as well, we believe that this is a space where, as we want to go further together, it's with partnership that we'll walk the longer distance. Be it financial institutions, fintechs, tech companies, the tour de force that UPI is in many senses because of the partnership of various types of entities that came together. Whether it was a scale or the user experience brought by the fintechs, the robust rails brought by the banking ecosystem, it is these partnerships that helped us stitch together products that served our users in a meaningful way. And we believe that in the future as well, it's the partnership that will help us serve the country and the users that we feel are going to get added in the years to come. Speaking of going far and serving users for the next 300 million Indians who are likely to come on to digital payments, the fourth pattern that we see, which we feel is very important, is how do we think of product safety and privacy. And let me tell you a story that I was recounting to someone a few days ago. I went to Linking Road to do some shopping, and the transaction size was less than 50,000. I was asked by the executive at the counter to put my mobile phone number. And I was a little wary. I said, is it okay if I don't give you my mobile phone number? So he said, okay, I have an option for you. I have a good jugaad for you. Why don't you give me a printout of your Aadhaar card? This was a jewelry item. And I was like, this is going from bad to worse. So I was like, Aadhaar card is something which I'll have to think about, and I'll come back to you later. This happened in the month of May 2023. It happened on Linking Road in Mumbai. And as a user, I walked away from the transaction. I spent quite a while, looking for the jewelry piece. But privacy matters. Privacy matters to the digitally savvy, to the digital novice, to users in all cohorts. Not only does privacy matter, but transaction safety also matters. And given that payments, and especially fintech, is so foundational as an infrastructure layer, which is enabling many, many digital verticals and tech verticals, it's going to be increasingly important for us to think of how do we serve users in a privacy-first way, in a safe way, and where they're always in control of their choices and they are given transparency. When we look in terms of the ideal user experience, we often think of having the least amount of friction. Faster the better. However, in some of these cases, we've introduced intentional friction so that users know that a pay looks like fraudulent. Sometimes you want to recheck, is this the right amount? And that helps in terms of ensuring that sometimes, even with intentional friction, we are keeping our users safe. Talking of safety brings me to my last point, which is that to keep this ecosystem safe and to make it sustainable, to build it for the long term, we think that this is a marathon. What happened in the last 5 years gives us hope that India is at an inflection point of something very special in digital payments. To be able to run this marathon for all of us in the fintech ecosystem, we believe that having sustainability, being able to find models which work both for the users as well as for the ecosystem players will be extremely important. Equally, to find ways in terms of continuous user experience and education would help us. To take a parallel from the cricket industry, we would need the resilience and the power tactics of someone playing a 2020 to play a test match. We truly believe that with the setting that we've had and the start that we've had, there's a long road ahead and lots more to come and for history to get made. Thank you so much.